One of the most popular questions on interview is of course classes, and you might get a question like this. Design a class for employee which takes ID and name during construction of object and has a salary property. So as you can see, we are not getting super strict requirements here, and we have some flexibility to implement it. This is why I highly recommend you to think about it and implement it in the best possible way. So first of all, here we want to create a class, and let's name it employee. And now, as it said, we need to have a constructor with ID and name inside. This is why let's create a constructor, and we're getting our ID and name, and after this we assign them to this ID, here is our ID, and this name equals name. So we're getting these two properties, but you can do it better because you must show that you are a good developer. This is why it is really nice to check if we passed inside these two properties. So we can just add, okay, if we didn't pass ID or we didn't pass name, then we want to throw an error. This is why I want to throw here a new error, and here inside we can write, for example, our employee ID and name are mandatory. Because actually this is what it is saying in the task, and it is nice to cover this feature. Also, as you can see, we have a line and it has a salary property, which actually means we can set the salary. It's not like we're getting it in constructor. So we need a setter and getter functions for our salary. So first of all, we can define it set salary, and it will be a function, our setter for salary, and we're passing inside our salary, and we just store it inside this. So this dot salary equals our salary. This is not all, because we also want to get. Yes, sure, this salary is available inside our class, but we really want to construct this class in an advanced way, which actually means we want to have some public API and some methods to get our properties. This is why here I highly recommend you to create getSalary, and we don't need anything here, and we want to return here this dot salary. And it also makes sense to create two getters for our ID and name. So here we can create getID method, and inside we're returning our this.id. And we also can create here getName method, and it will return our this.name. So as you can see, we thought quite a lot about our class, and it is implemented as best as we can. Now here we can try to use it. So here we're creating our employee with new employee, and we are passing inside ID and name because they are mandatory. And actually we can check it, we can reload the page, and we're getting employee, ID and name are mandatory, and this is nice to check. So here is our ID1 and name, for example, Jack, and now our employee won't throw an error. What we can do now, we can write employee set salary, and we are passing, for example, 1000 inside, and now we can check it. So I will reload the page, and here is our employee with ID, name and salary, but we also have a getters. For example, get salary will return to us salary, and get name will return a name, which actually means we implemented our class as best as possible. But now you are getting a second task. Design a class for manager which is employee and can have department property, which actually means here your interviewer want to see extent of our class, because we can create a new class based on our employee class. This is why here on the bottom we can create new class manager, and here we want to use extends to take the functionality of our employee class. And actually this is almost it. This will take everything from our employee class, but we also need to create a department. This is why we just need a setter and a getter, just like we did previously. So let's create here set department, and here inside we are passing department or just name, and here we are saving our name inside. We also need a getter, so get department, and we don't need any arguments here, and we want to return our this.department. And actually it is also super important to have a nice names everywhere. As you can see, I am not naming things like set or just set foo or whatever. I really try to make these names as production ready as possible. We're using here, for example, set department, so it is all clear what it is about, and it really shows on interview that you are a good developer and you can write high quality code. So here we have our set department and get department. Now let's create our manager. So we just create new manager, and we must pass inside, as always, ID and name, for example, John. And now here we can check our manager. So we can make set department, and we are passing inside department, for example, development. And now we can check our manager, so we have inside department, and there is a getDepartment function which will return for us a department. This is how typically you will answer questions regarding classes or extension of the classes.